Okay, good morning. So today we're going to start chapter 3 of Tanya, and going in more on the details, on the makeup of the nefesh, ruach, and neshama of the soul. What is the build? What is it made of? So, and as an introduction, interestingly enough, we're going to learn about 3 mothers. And it happens to be that it is also Mother's Day, so how appropriate to learn about how the souls are, every soul is built of, first of all, 3 mothers, and then come the children, the offsets of the mothers. And we'll elaborate on it. But so we have 2 ways of doing it. One is the way we've done in the past, to discuss first things on the surface and the outside of Tanya, and with worksheets and diagrams and so on. Today, I decided to start in the traditional way of learning Tanya, learning inside the text, translating, and there will be things that are in the air, and by all means you're encouraged to write down notes, questions, and we will discuss them over the next few weeks. But rather than first discussing the overall and then going into the text, today we're going first to start with the text and then elaborate. At least we'll try, and if we get into discussion, that's fine too. So we learned in the past that, in the previous chapters, that there are 3 souls that are part of the neshama of the soul. And of course everyone looks at me and says, why 3? We learned about 2. The divine soul and the animal soul. True, but I'm talking now about each soul. The divine soul is included of 3 souls, and it was said in passing in the previous chapters, which are, and we discussed it very briefly, which are called nefesh, ruach, and neshama, which nefesh translates as soul, ruach translates as spirit, neshama translates as soul. Again, if I can have the book, please. Oh, thank you. I want to see how they translate here. Nefesh, ruach, and neshama. That's how they translate it. Okay? Because it's hard to translate. However, it's explained the following: that the neshama is the level of the soul that brings life to the intellectual part of the human being, of the person, meaning our brain. That's the neshama. Ruach, that could translate as spirit, is the level of the soul that gives life to the emotions, attributes of the heart. Nefesh, which is the lowest one of the 3, is the part of the soul that gives life and vitality to the koach hamase, to action. to our physical action. So those are generally the three levels of nefesh, ruach, and neshama. So the Alter Rebbe says the following: V'hinei kol bechino umadrego misholish elu. Each level and step of these three, nefesh, ruach, and neshama, klulo me'eser b'chines, is composed of 10 parts. Where is the magic number of 10 come from? Keneged 10 sfirot elionot shenishtalshlu mehen. Corresponds to the 10 superior manifestations, and the 10 parts of the soul are coming down, are a direct offset and in the reaction of cause and effect from the 10 sfirot, from the 10 manifestations. So we all remember, and we learned it yesterday in Pirkei Avot in Ethics of Our Fathers, that the Ba'asara Ma'amarot Nivra Ha'olam, the world was created with 10 sayings. When we go through in the book of Genesis, when you go through the 6 days of creation, there is 10 times where it says Vayomer Elokim. God said, let this take place, and then it took place. God said, let this take place, and it took place. So it's 10 sayings. So the Mishnah says, Ba'asara ma'amarot nivra ha'olam. Then we also remember that there are 10 commandments. These 10, the number 10 is not a magic number. It's not just a number that, it is a magic number, but it's not just by coincidence. 10 sayings, 10 commandments, but they're all connected and interconnected, as the 10 are the 10 sfirot, the 10 manifestations. Hashem has created the world with 10 manifestations, which we're going to learn about. But what we're going to learn today are the 10 manifestations, which are the 10 manifestations that are in our body. But it's the same 10. There is 10 manifestations of the world, of all the worlds at large. 10 manifestations that Hashem has created the world with. And those exact same 10 manifestations, Hashem has created the Olam Katan Zeh Adam, the small world which is the human being. So we are a small world because it's the same build, the same makeup, the same ingredients that make up the world are making up our body. And those are the 10 manifestations. And those are the 10 commandments. Those are the 10 commandments are connected. Those are the 10 sayings with which God has created the world. All interconnected. So we have basically the soul that brings life to our body is made up of 3 components: nefesh, ruach, and neshama. And those 3 components, each one is made up of 10. So there are 30 tools that make our body function accordingly. So when a baby starts acting, thinking, saying words, there is a combination of 30 tools that are coming in, minimum, but now we're talking about 30, that are coming in order to make it happen. If it would be only 10 of the nefesh, then there would be a problem because there is no brain. So the 10 manifestations of the brain and the 10 manifestations of our action of our hands, of our movement, of our moving, need to correspond, need to talk to each other in the same way. If there is a malfunction, we have trouble. Yes?
Any connection to the 49 components of the human psyche that we are talking right now during the honor counting, or is it something completely separate?
So the question is, we are now in middle of the 49 days between Passover and Shavuot, and those 49 days we count each day, and each day corresponds to 7 emotions in our psyche, in our body. So Eugenia is asking, is there a connection? Is there a connection between what we're talking about to the 7 or the 49 emotions? So if I would say no, would you believe me? Okay, so the answer is yes. Now you believe me? Okay, good. And Tanya, you could pass him too. So the answer is yes, of course it's connected, and as we'll go on, you'll see how they are connected. Okay? So let's repeat again the first 3 lines. V'hinei kol b'chino madrego misholish elu. Each level of these, from these 3, nefesh, ruach, and neshama, klulo is inclusive of eser b'chines of 10 levels, 10 parts, keneged, which correspond to eser spheres elyenes, which correspond to the 10 superior manifestations of creation of all the worlds, and not only they correspond to them, but shenishtal shlome, and they come from them. They're being contracted like it's a direct chain that comes from the 10 sfirot to the 10 manifestations of the soul, to the 10 levels of the soul. But in the world, they're in a certain way, in a big way, and in our body, they take a different format. But it's the exact same thing that is being contracted and deformed or reformed into a individual soul, and nefesh, ruach, and neshama, and so on. The 3 different levels of the soul. Okay? Clear? Now we know how we're built? Good. Next. Now.
Was this the beginning of Parakimel?
Yes. Now these. Sorry?
You said at the beginning that every soul is built from 3 mothers.
We'll get there. We'll get there. It's called as mothers.
You started off with
no, because I wanted to introduce it. But as mothers know, we need to have patience, and that's what mothers are teaching us. So these 10 sfirot, 10 manifestations, while they are 10, they are divided into 2 categories. Hanechlokes lishtayim. They're divided into 2 categories. Shehein, which are Sholesh Imes, the 3 mothers.
You waited another second, you would read it.
The 3 mothers.
So the first category is the 3 mothers?
Yes.
Okay.
Vesheva kfules. And then the second category are the 7 doubles. That's how they're called. 7 doubles.
It says midos.
Sheva kfules, it says.
Yeah, I know, but it translates to midos. Isn't it the midos?
But it says Sheva kfules, 7 doubles.
Isn't midos easier to understand?
But it says 7
Okay.
doubles. So there are 3 mothers and 7 doubles.
Doubles of what?
Mothers of what?
No, 7 doubles of
I answered you.
Say again?
Mothers of what?
It's all a big mystery for us to
You asked the question. You asked me a question about the 7 doubles. Let's first talk about mothers. It's Mother's Day. Why 3 mothers? Why not 1?
So it's what here.
And why?
and
And why the doubles of the
Multiples.
Yes.
Okay, multiples, doubles. Sorry. Okay, doubles is my Moroccan English.
That's okay.
So multiples. Sorry. So 7. Oh, now it makes sense. So tell me. Oh, so what?
I'm not sure.
Okay. No. Oh, no. But you reacted. Oh, okay. So I want to know what is the O now. Now you tell me what the 7 multiples are.
7 multiples of, I have no idea.
Oh, so it's the same question as doubles. So let's stick to doubles.
Okay.
7 multiples.
If I think when you're talking about doubles, it's almost like a
Like
duplication,
this?
Yeah.
There's
like
pairs.
pairs or duplications. But when it's
is
multiples,
pairs.
it could be like
Could be way
offspring.
Kaful, kefel. Kefel means double. Kefel means multiple.
Okay.
You can't. I can't run away from it.
No, that's okay.
That's the meaning. But
I just want to
okay,
know what they are.
okay, ladies and gentlemen, mothers and doubles, multiple personalities, whatever we have.
No,
Let's hold off. Let's hold off. And let's not get caught up now on the details of it. Please bear with me, and we'll get through everything. I don't know if today, but over our lifetime we'll get through it. So, what are the 3 mothers, and what are the 7 multiples? Perush. So the Alter Rebbe continues and says, meaning. The 3 mothers are Chochma, Bina, Vodas. Wisdom,
Sorry.
wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. So the 3 mothers are wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And that's what Chabad is. Chabad, the acronym of the word Chabad, is Chochma, Bina, Das. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, and those are 3 mothers. What are the 7 multiples? The 7 multiples are Veshiv As Yemei HaBinyan, are the 7 days of building, of construction. What are the 7 days of construction? 7 days of creation. Those are Chesed, kindness, Gvura, severity, Tiferes, beauty, Chule, etc. So now let's pause and explain. So God created the world in 7 days, 7 days of the week. On 6 days he worked. 7th day, Shabbos HaMalkeh, the Shabbos the queen, the kingdom of Hashem. He rested. Kingdom of Shabbos. 7 days. So those are the 7 days of building, of creation. What was, and I will be very brief on this, I don't want to elaborate now on it, but briefly. What is the first day of creation? What did God create in the first day of creation? Does anyone remember the highlight?
Nine bars.
Light and
9 bars.
Yes. Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. God said, let there be light.
I thought the other one was a highlight. But
Yes, it's a highlight in a different way. Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. Hashem said, let there be light. Light is chesed, kindness. Let's move on. What happened on the 2nd day? Does anyone remember the highlight or one of the highlights in order to be correct on the 2nd day?
splitting the waters.
Splitting the waters. Splitting heavens from earth. Splitting. What is the second attribute? Gvula, severity. What is severity? Splitting. Severity is restriction. It's tearing apart. It's not a positive, going forward, opening expression, but it's holding back. I'm here, you are here. Separation. That's what severity is. On the third day, what did Hashem create? One of the highlights? Herbs. Trees. Flowers. Grass. What is it? A beautiful garden. Tiferes is beauty. Chulei, etc. Here the Alter Rebbe chooses not to elaborate on all the 7, but the other 4 he puts in one word, etc., meaning it will be explained another time. So here he mentions 3 out of the 7 days of building. Those 7 days of building, those 7 attributes, those 7 emotions are called, for whatever reason, kfules, doubles or multiples, however you want to translate it. Why? Let's leave it for another time. But that's how they're called. In Kabbalah, in mysticism, they're called 7 multiples. So, kindness. What is kindness? Kindness is limited to, in English or in Hebrew, chesed is limited to an act of kindness. But the reality is that kindness in this context is more than an act of goodness and kindness. Kindness means expressing myself. Kindness means expanding. Kindness means opening up. All these attributes are part of doing an act of kindness. It's not about me, it's not being selfish, it's opening up. There is a greater world than me. We learned in chapter 1 of Tanya that if one does kindness for a selfish purpose, that's not called kindness, that's ego. So if I feed my child because I care naturally, that doesn't mean I'm a kind mother, with all due respect to all the mothers here. That doesn't mean I'm a kind father. It's the nature. I could be a cruel person, but this is my child. So it's like me not hurting my finger. That's not kindness. It's a kind act, but I'm not kind. It's not an act of kindness because I'm not going out of myself. It's all about me. Kindness, chesed, the true meaning of chesed means going out of myself, yehi or. And that's the difference between light and dark and darkness. Darkness is all, I don't see anything other than me. When Egypt was plagued with the 9th plague before the Exodus, with the plague of darkness, the Torah describes it and says what happened during that plague. Leiro ish esachiv, a man did not see his brother. Velei komu ish mitachtov, and a person did not get up of his place. What does that express? That expresses, I don't see anything else. Only me. So if you are part of my life, there is room for you. If you are not part of my life, if I don't see the benefit in associating with you, then I don't see you. I don't consider you. I don't care. That's not chesed. That's not light. Light is to see something else that is outside of my own boundaries. That's chesed. That's kindness. That's an example. I'm bringing this as an example of how the 7 days of creation and the 7 days and the 7 attributes are interconnected, and how they're beyond, and we'll elaborate on it over the next few weeks, next few classes, or the next few months, actually. It's over the next few months, how the word chesed, the attribute of kindness, is not kindness, it's bigger than kindness. Love, as an example, and that's part of this chapter that we're going to learn today, God willing, is love belongs to the attribute of kindness. Why? Love is expressing oneself, expanding. That's part of kindness. Fear is part of gevura, of severity, of strictness, holding back. How do you express love? Opening your hands. How do you express fear? Holding back. Separation of heavens and earth. Separation of the water. Being strict is holding back. That's what strict is. Holding myself back, holding back someone else. But being strict is, there are rules. There is confinement. There is limitations. That's gevura. That's severity. So fear is part of the family of severity and might and strength. Strength, you don't show strength like this. Show strength, holding back. I know, but the way you show strength, you close, you refocus, you're building yourself. That's gevura. Yes.
So with kindness,
Sandy, can I get a glass cup or
kindness is
thank you.
something that's beyond your limit, right? Something that you go not for yourself,
Thank you.
but for someone else, right? Kindness is not for yourself, but for someone else. And a good act, a nice act, is right. You do it for your advantage, but you did something nice. So, how can you explain something that you're doing it to your advantage, but it's also to other people's advantage, right? Like going to helping a minion, for example. It's for your advantage, but it's also helping other people. Would you say that's also kindness, or would you say that's a good act?
Should I answer what comes to mind, or I should be kind? You know where I'm heading? Okay. So, it's not white or black. There is gray areas, and there is a combination of both. So, for example, one could be kind and partially kindness and partially selfish. And that's okay. Now we work on ourselves, and we need to work on ourselves to be all the way kind without any selfishness. And that's a lifetime task. But it's part of it. So which one of it is it? Depends on the person. I give tzedakah, I give charity, and I do it because it makes me feel good. It's still kindness, but there is a selfish motive. So it's not all the way good. It's good that has, evil and selfishness attached to it.
But if you're doing because Shem said so.
And not because it makes you feel good, then it's all good.
But
That's kindness.
we're the way that Hashem made us, when we give tzedakah, we do feel good.
Good.
So, but it's your intention. Is that the idea? So you're doing it because it's a mitzvah, Hashem told you to. Now, the side effect that you happen to feel good, but it's not why you're doing it.
The Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, had once a revelation that the world to come was taken away from him. That he doesn't have any part in the world to come. Yes, I'll finish and I'll get yeah. So he got very, very happy. Usually, an ordinary person would get depressed. I'm doing all these things, and I'm trying my best, and then God is telling me that I don't have a part in the world to come. What am I doing all this for? The Baal Shem Tov got very happy. He said, now I could serve God for the sake of serving God and not for a selfish purpose.
And that in itself gave him back a little bit.
So, exactly. So yes, it's good. We should feel good about giving tzedakah. We should feel better when we give tzedakah and we don't feel good about it.
Is that possible?
Yes.
As I said, it's a lifetime task, and there are different levels and different, and everyone is different, and everyone has their own challenges. Yes, Miles.
So if you do a good task without benefiting yourself, but for someone else, and then eventually it ends up benefiting you, not knowing, and you did the task not knowing that it would benefit you, would it still be considered a good deed?
Yes. Even if it benefits you right away. But you should not care for your own benefit, you should care to help the other person.
I think it happens to us all the time. And the good deed, Hashem always sends
Immediately the
something.
benefit
Yes.
is there, yes. Yeah. Sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't see it. Okay? So, we elaborated now on the 7 days of creation, of building, the 7 attributes, gave some examples. Now we'll go back to the 3 mothers. So the 3 mothers are Chochma, Bina, Vodas. Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. Let's continue inside the text. V'kach benefesh ha'odom, the way it is in the 10 manifestations of the world, with which Hashem has created the world, which is wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and then the 7 multiples, the 7 days of creation. So is it also in the soul of the human, shenechlekes lishtayim, which is divided into 2, seichel umides. Seichel, the intellect, the brain, umides, and the attributes, the feelings of the heart. Haseichel, the brain, the intellect, kelel includes chochma, bina, vodas, includes wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And these 3 are called mothers. Vehamides, and the attributes, hein, they are avas Hashem, love to God. Those are the attributes of the godly soul. Love to God, which, as we explained, love is part of kindness. Ufach devir osei, fear and awe of God, which is part of gevura, of severity. Ulefoar echulu, and beautifying God, bringing a beauty in God's world, doing things in a beautiful way, making mitzvahs, doing mitzvahs and following God's commandments in a happy way, in a beautiful way, which is part of tiferes, of beauty. Those are the emotions. The chochma, bina, das, and wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, nikreu imes, are called mothers, umoker lamides. Why mothers? mothers, and a source to the attributes, to the emotions. Why? Ki hamidos, because the emotions entail this chokhmah bina vadas. They're offsets and children of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. So, and we'll elaborate on it soon. But basically what it's saying is that the emotions are based on how much seichel, how much brain one has. And as the Alter Rebbe will explain further in Tanya, that a small child gets angry and upset of small little things which are valueless, which don't have any value. Why? Because they have a small brain. They have a small head. Small intellect. So as a result, little things make the person angry. But we adults, if it ever happens that we get upset, it must be something that is really, really of great value because we have big brains.
Makes us all feel, I guess, makes us all feel not smart because we get upset of silly things, right? So I guess if you're smart, oh my God.
So, why is everyone laughing? I was asked.
So much.
A good way to judge ourselves.
Yeah, like children.
There was one person who didn't smile here. So so basically, based on how much seichel there is, that's how much emotions there are. And to be very brief, and I don't want to expand, but that's why, and we mentioned it in previous classes. That's why in Judaism, and according to Chabad teachings, to Tanya, to Hasidic philosophy, it's totally the approach in life that follow your heart, follow what your heart tells you to do, which many psychologists are teaching and are preaching and are guiding people, is totally, totally wrong and false. Don't follow your heart. Your heart should follow your head. Do what is right. Don't do what feels good, but do what you know is good, or do what someone else knows is good for you. That's even better. And that's why Judaism is based on the verse that we recite twice a day, morning and night, the daily mitzvah that we have twice a day. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Listen, Israel, our God is one. And as a result, once you listen, listening is not here. Listening is here. Shema also means gather your thoughts. Shema Yisrael, gather your thoughts, listen, pay attention, concentrate, close your eyes. Shema Yisrael, listen, get into it, that God is one. As a result, ve'ohavta es Hashem Elokecha, you'll come to love your God. That's the verse following the verse of Shema Yisrael, of listen. Because everything starts here. And those are the mothers who are building the three mothers, Chochmah, Bina, and Das, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, the three faculties of our brain, of our intellect, that are building the attributes, because the attributes could only be as good and as influenced as they are by our head, or as bad as our head is, or as a result of a gap between the head and and the heart, which is 99% of our challenges in the world. We know what is right. We understand what is right. We have the wisdom, but we're lacking the connection, the conduit between here and here. I know it's right, but give me a minute. I have something to do. First, now I'll get angry, then I'll apologize. Now I'll fulfill my desires, then I'll say, sorry, Mom, I'll bring you a nice present on Mother's Day.
Better hurry.
So, since I mentioned about a nice present on Mother's Day, let me share with you a little story that is not so much connected to the Tanya, but it's connected because we're talking about mothers and how the connection needs to be there all the time. So there is a famous story in the Medrash, in the Talmud, that God came to all nations before giving the Torah to the Jewish people and asked them if they want the Torah. And next week we're celebrating next Sunday the holiday of Shavuot, the holiday of when we receive the Torah at Mount Sinai. We have, there won't be a class here, but there will be 11 o'clock is a receiving of the Ten Commandments, reading of the Ten Commandments with an ice cream party. Everyone is encouraged to come and to participate in it. It's the holiday that made us who we are, the Jewish people and the chosen nation, and so on and so on. So God, the Medrash says that God went to all the nations and asked them if they want to receive the Torah. So the Medrash says that he went to one nation, states which nation, and asked them, "Do you want the Torah?" They asked him, "What is written in there?" He says, "Don't murder." He said, "No, that's not for us." Till today, they're still continuing with murdering and terrorizing the world. Then God went to another nation and told them, and do you want the Torah? They said, "What is in there?" They said, "Don't commit adultery." No, it's not for us. He came to the Jewish people, and then he came to the Jewish people and asked them, "Do you want the Torah?" They said, "Na'aseh v'nishma." We will do and we will hear. First we will do and then we will hear, which is the opposite of what we just said. At first it starts here and then here. But that's maybe later another time it's not a contradiction, we'll elaborate on it. Said basically we accept the yoke of heaven, whatever you tell us to do, we will do, then we will learn. God said in that case, here is the Torah. So there was a Jewish song composer of the previous generation, Yom Tov Erlech, I think his name, who brought this song in Yiddish in modern days, to our days, with humor. And Avram Fried, who is a famous, the brother of Rabbi Manis Friedman, who is a famous Jewish star singer today, one of the leaders in the Jewish world, is singing it very beautifully. And he makes the story in the following way. He says that God wanted to give the Torah to the Jewish people, but before that he went to all the nations. So he went to the French people, and he asked them, "Do you want the Torah?" They said, "What is in there?" He says, "Don't commit adultery." He said, No, it's not for us. He went to Britain. He said, "Do you want the Torah?" They said, "What's in there?" He said, "Don't covet." He said, No, it's not for us. He makes fun of all nations in this. Then he went to the Germans and said, "Do you want the Torah?" He said, "What is in there? Don't murder." No, it's not for us. And then he went to the Arab countries and you want the Torah? He says, "Don't steal." He said, No, it's not for us. So then he came to the Jewish people, and sorry, that's the punchline of the story today. And he went to the United States. He said, "What is? Do you want the Torah?" He says, "What is written in there?" He says, "Honor your father and your mother." He says, No, it's not for us. We only have one day Mother's Day, one day Father's Day, and that's also too much. Not for us. So then he came to the Jewish people and he saw a schlepper, one who walks around with his shirt out and tzitzis, with bags and this, running around. Says, hey, Jew, come here. Do you want the Torah? He says, what? He says, do you want the Torah? He says, sure. So he gives it, how much is it? He says, free. He says, sure. He takes it, says, wait, I have to give you a receipt. So he's making fun of all nations accordingly, so
For free you get it, you don't know what it is. Right?
a collector, one who collects for this, fundraising.
I just got that.
What? Fundraising, a fundraiser, What?
How much it cost? And they said it was free. He asked for two.
Right, that's why
Yeah, okay.
that's why the 2,000.
I mean, that's the famous one, but in this case, he says, yeah, sure, give me, the guy gives him, because finally he got a customer.
Yeah.
Hashem looked, didn't find a customer. Finally, found a customer, wants the Torah, gives it to him, says, hold on, I need to give you a receipt, I need to write it.
I may say probably on Shavuos you'll explain what does it mean that he asked the nations. It's in heaven. There's an angel who presents at the nation. It's not just a funny story. God actually asked each nation.
Yeah. Okay. So what's the problem with according to this song, with the North American mentality, the modern world today? North American mentality is today has spread throughout the world that Father's Day and Mother's Day is also too much. There is actually an issue with Father's Day and Mother's Day. It's not a Jewish holiday, but I don't have an issue with it. Why? Because all it's doing and all it's supposed to do, Father's Day and Mother's Day, is supposed to encourage the honoring the father and the mother throughout the year. It's not meant that only this day should be, we recognize that we have fathers and mothers. It's like Alberta, started, I think Alberta is the one that started, Ontario has it now, I think also BC, I don't know who started, Family Day. Which province started it? Alberta. It was Alberta. Alberta started.
Don Getty.
Don Getty started? Yeah, so the Family Day, it doesn't mean that that's it's a day to encourage the being with family and so on. So it's a good thing. The Rebbe started in the U.S. Education Day is done in the U.S. on the Rebbe's birthday by the American government, the U.S. government, a day of education to promote it. It doesn't mean that only this day you should educate. It's a day that promotes it. So, but the problem is when there is a disconnection between Mother's Day and the rest of the year, then there is no offsets, there is no fruits. So there has to be a connection. And the mother is the one who is building that connection, who is building the 7 days of creation. It's done by the mother, by the 3 mothers, by Chochmah, Bina, and Das. We will not have time now to go in the text of the continuation of this chapter. So I'll give a little summary in order not to leave it hanging in the air. So the Alter Rebbe explains the following. Chochmah is a concept. Wisdom. Wisdom means a concept. It's the Chochmah, the Alter Rebbe says, according to Kabbalah, it's taken from books of mysticism, that Chochmah is made up of 2 words. Koach Ma. Koach Ma makes the word Chochmah, it's the same letters. What does Koach mean? A power. It's a power, it's energy. Ma means what? Meaning it's an energy, it's a power, but you can't touch it. You can't identify it. It's a concept. What do you do with the concept? It's air, and it could go to waste. Bina, the second of the 3, Chochmah, wisdom. Bina, understanding. What does understanding mean? Making sense of the concept. Either explaining it to someone else, or explaining it to myself, bringing it to,
Tangible.
making it tangible, bringing it to something that should have hands and feet, should have a body, should have something, what to land on, should have a build-up. The word bina in Hebrew, all words in Hebrew, it's a whole separate concept, but all words in Hebrew, in Lashon HaKodesh, in the Holy Tongue, words that begin with the same letter are interconnected, especially if they have the same root, and 2 or 3 letters of the word are the same, then they are even more connected. The connection is even more obvious. There is a book of Kabbalah called Sefer Yetzirah, which the Alter Rebbe quotes here, the book of formation which elaborates on it. And there is more and more books that are explaining and elaborating on it and so on. The word understanding in Hebrew is what?
Ladat.
Bina. Bina. What is the root of the word bina? Ben. Bet nun. The word building in Hebrew is what? Binyan. Building. Construction. Constructing. What is the root? Bet nun. Ben. Understanding and building is the same concept. If you remember, we spoke about 7 days of binyan, of construction, of building the world. 7 days of bringing an understanding to the world. 7 days of making sense of the world that God has created. So the first tool that God has created the world is Bereshit Chochmah. Reshit Chochmah, it says in Tehillim. Wisdom, a concept. Something from nothing. God has created the world. A physical world from ex nihilo, from nothing. So a injection. Then is the building, understanding, making it happen. Let's leave that for another time. The knowledge. What is the wisdom, the injection, and the building, and the constructing? Father and mother. The father who is injecting and the mother who is building, 9 months building a child. 9 months of pregnancy. And then a lifetime of a mother educating the children in a way that no father could do. It's generally speaking. So and that's why in Judaism the mother is called Akeret Habayit, the essential of the home, Bayit of the home, of the building, Em Habanim Smecha, the mother of the children. Because the mother is the one that builds. So this is the first two. The first two out of the 3, the concept and then the building on it, that gives birth to our emotions. In other words, it's not enough when we're talking about our emotions, and I'll go to the punchline, and for now skip the third part of it, of that's at the end of this chapter. But the first two, as far as controlling our emotions, there is two things need to happen. One is having the wisdom, knowing what is right. That's number one. Knowing what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing. Not being in confusion. Not being in doubts. Not being ignorant. Knowledge. Or, I don't want to confuse with the last one, knowledge, wisdom. But that's not enough. Just knowing the concept is not sufficient. One needs to build. And no one knows how to build like a mother knows. The pain that goes through by a mother to give birth to a child, where our entire being, the entity of the mother changes. Not only physically, emotionally. Everything is changing in a way that no man can understand. What a mother goes through in our entire changing oneself in order to give birth to a healthy child, self-sacrifice, everything, what not? And then a healthy child comes out. This is the start of understanding how we could control our emotions and how easy it is. How achievable it is. If a mother could give birth to a child in 9 months from a concept and suddenly turning it into beautiful hands, beautiful feet, a beautiful nose, beautiful life, with everything that the child comes with, then if we put in 9 months of working 1 hour a day, and one of our emotions, kindness, severity, beauty, whatever it is, one of our attributes that we have, we will have plenty of good results. All it requires is be a mother and make it happen. Build. Yes.
So how does the analogy of the 3 mothers, really it should be one mother, just one mother is combined with all of it. That's how, that's what I've understood. You've been saying that just one mother can create all 3 and make something so precious and amazing. But when you put 3 mothers into it, it shows that just each one is individual, and it doesn't show us as much.
Yes. So very good question. Your question is, why is it 3 mothers and not 1 mother? And I will answer like a Jew with a question, and we'll leave it at the question for today, in order for you to do more homework during the week, and not during the next 2 weeks, and we'll discuss it, God willing, in 2 weeks, as we'll continue the class. Next question I have is, with all due respect to the mothers, and it is Mother's Day, if I understood correctly what I just said and brought out and explained what it says in Tanya, is that the concept comes from the father. So the mother is the one that builds. But the concept is the father, so there should be 1 father and 2 mothers. Thus, knowledge we didn't learn yet. I have a question about that too. But for now, let's grant the mothers. Today is Mother's Day. Let's do the doubles. Let's give the mothers 2 credits of having the understanding and the knowledge. But wisdom is the father, as we learned in chapter 2. What comes from the father and what comes from the mother. So Why are the 3 to the mother? So we'll leave the answer for another time. Meanwhile, the lesson I have of it from it for today, and from today as an inspiration throughout the year till next year Mother's Day, is that, as Rabbi Akiva said, "Sheli v'shelcho shelohu." Rabbi Akiva got married. It's a famous story. He was 40 when he started learning Torah. He was ignorant, and he met a beautiful lady by the name Rachel, and he asked her to marry her, and she said, "I'm not going to marry someone like you who is ignorant, who doesn't know any Torah, who doesn't know anything." He says, "I'll learn. I could do it." She married him. She trusted him. She gave him a chance. They got married and he left. He left the home to learn Torah. He went for a sabbatical to learn Torah. He went to work.
24 years.
24 years. He learned. He learned. He came back with thousands of students. With thousands of students, he became one of the greatest scholars in the Talmud, Rabbi Akiva. Who doesn't know the name Rabbi Akiva? And when he came back, and she waited for him, his wife, and when he came back, and with all following his student, with all his the thousands of students following him, and he gave her honor, they asked him, "Who is she? What is this?" So he said, "Sheli v'shelachem, my and yours is all hers." It's all her credit of where we are today. So, borrowing that analogy, even the father's intervention here with the injection of the wisdom is still part of the 3 mothers. And on this note, happy Mother's Day. Yes. What? You have a question? No. Okay.